Yeah. Mr. Pants. You got food and everything, huh? Yeah. Hey guys, welcome back. It's Jared with Literature in Robes. I've got a lot of energy because I want to share a bunch of stuff with you guys. Well, namely a bunch of, that stuff. I just thought I'd give you guys kind of a more in-depth look into what it is I read and talk a little bit about why I'm interested in reading these things. Maybe I can do a review if you see something that's here. Maybe I've already read it and we could talk about it, or we can talk about maybe what I should read next. You guys could vote on things like this. I don't know. You can involve each other and whatever. And if you see some fun stuff around here and you want to say something about it, of course, leave a comment.
I'm going to say what's on my mind.
That being said, let's get into it. Okay, here we are into the collection of Jared, the man with the robes channel.
Congratulations. You got yourself a job.
Obviously, this guy, I just picked him up. Surprise, surprise. I'm a person who says they read a lot, and I haven't read this one yet. Yeah, I'm kind of embarrassed by that. But I've never owned it. I've never read it. I've read a lot of stuff by Stephen King. Pet Sematary scared the pants off of me when I was younger, and I don't think I ever finished it. But I did read the Dark Tower series, and I loved that. That was pretty good stuff. Fun. Definitely Stephen King's version of fantasy. I loved the first 3 books in particular. But anyways, we're here to talk about these guys. So I found this one at my local barn, BNN, and the Starless Crown, and it seems like it's kind of a popular book. It keeps flying off the shelf. And I kind of delved into it a little bit. James Rollins, I think he's a new author, and he's got this one as well that I just picked up. They only had a few left online, and I just got this first edition hardback. It's kind of a cool little cover. So Dan Simmons, Alien Olympus, this is kind of based off of Homer, but in a science fiction setting. It's really interesting. He takes you way out there. Dan Simmons is kind of interesting like that. And some of his characters in this, actually, I wondered in my review about Final Architecture trilogy, it seemed like some of those characters were almost in homage to Dan Simmons, some of the characters in there. Of course, we've talked about Abercrombie in my last video a lot. But yeah, Blade itself, those are the 3 I've read. And of course, I'm kind of a Mark Lawrence fan. I know he's not for everyone, but I have One Word Kill and the 2 books that came after that. I think that's a trilogy. I'm just kind of curious about that. Read it when I can. This is a historical fiction book, Essex Dogs. I don't know. Sometimes I'll find something, just grab it. T.J. Klune, The House on the Cerulean Sea. And then Robin Hobbs, the trilogy that kind of put her on the map. I really wanted to kind of see what she's got. So that's the original trilogy. It's pulled a lot of people in. The books afterwards, I've heard have mixed reviews, of course, and there's a lot of them, so I don't know if I want to take that undertaking. This is a new guy on the block, Christopher Rocchio. I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos about this particular author. He seems like a really neat guy, and I've heard some wow stuff about these volumes. So, fascinating stuff. I can't wait to read it. It's kind of close to The Red Rising, which, as you can see, I have there. But I haven't started that one yet, and I plan to start it, I think, sometime after I finish The Expanse, because I'm just going to take one science fiction adventure after the next. I'm not going to intermingle them because I don't want to get all confused and get characters and storylines mixed up. Here's another new groundbreaking author. In some camps, there's not a whole lot of support out there for him that I've seen. Not a whole lot of videos, but this book, Gunmetal Gods, was really, I found it to be really interesting. 2 first-person perspectives from vastly different backgrounds, and then and then the conflict that is happening around them. This kind of follows up in a different part of the world. It's kind of Middle Eastern-based fantasy, which offers a lot of different kinds of characters, a lot of different, I don't know, it's just wild. It's hard to describe, and I don't want to get into it because this isn't a book review. This is just what I'm reading. Light by Blade seems kind of like a sci-fi tech fantasy that he's also written, but right now he's concentrating on this. I haven't read this one yet, and the fourth one is being written as we speak. Novel about the three-body problem, written by an author named Bao Shu. R.J. Barker. Some people may be familiar with this person. It's like a seafaring fantasy. From what I've read, kind of snippets of the first book is really well written. I reviewed that guy. Gosh. This is kind of a sci-fi I haven't quite got into. This one's really hitting hard on all the channels right now. And he is an interpreter for Cixin Liu, his three-body problem. He's interpreted a couple of those books. And yeah, very good author. Glenn Cluck's Black Company. I've heard a lot of good things about this. This is the original trilogy, I believe, and at some point I'm just going to knock that one out. Bernard Cornwell is kind of a historical fiction author, but I hear a lot of his battle scenes are pretty epic, and one of my favorite authors, Joe Abercrombie. Oh my God.
Nice.
He reads a lot of Bernard Cornwell stuff as well. So I'm hesitant to read by the next two after this. I'm just going to feel it out. These I think are pretty well received. The Grail Quest trilogy. I've got one more up there, the 1356. I had Little Horror. You know, I like Stephen King. I'm going to have some Nick Cutter, The Deep. I hear that's a pretty good one. And of course, Blake Crouch. I've read a lot by him. Dark Matter and Upgrade, and I'm gonna knock those few out here at some point. Interesting perspectives on philosophical questions by the great Richard Dawkins. And we have Ken Follett, all of his Kingsbridge stuff. I do have Column of Fire, but I can't find it right now. One of my favorite characters. I don't know if you noticed from the last video, but I have several Garfield collections out in storage that I was thinking about bringing out. Lovely cover for Nnedi Okorafor. I apologize. I cannot wait to get into that one. I've heard some good things. Shadow Speaker. So over to here. Come As You Are. I am one of the biggest Nirvana fans. I'm in my 40s. And I grew up with Kurt Cobain, and this is kind of that story of stories. Shout out to Kurt Cobain. Shout out to Dave Grohl. I read his book too. That's a great book. Storyteller. Fantastic. Anyway, should I say much about this? I mean, fantastic. This guy is pretty much who gave Star Wars life and many other types of sci-fi adventures. I love all of these. Controversial take. I actually love these too. I was so sad that after I finished this that I really wanted to read that last book. And the two written by Brian Herbert and I'm going to put the name up here because I can't remember right now. But those two final books just felt like they fell way flat for me. Swan Song, I plan to read this. I've heard lots of good things about that. I'm into that kind of apocalyptic, tragic future type thing. Boy's Life, this was a fantastic book. One of my top 3 favorite reads right now. It's like a slice of life type thing. It's so good. Robert McCammon has just kind of blew me away. It was the first book I read of his, and it was just amazing. Highly recommend that. Coming of age in like the 1950s, 60s, in a small town. Just that, I don't know, I grew up in Kansas in a small town, or smallish town. I had my family that lived in smallish towns.
I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore.
I don't know, something so familiar about that American life. So, wow, Boy's Life. This is one I've heard a lot about, Lonesome Dove, and I've heard it's magnificent. So at some point I'm going to tackle that beast. That's a monster. But I've heard this is a fantastic book. Tigana.
Come again?
Would be my introduction to Guy Gavriel Kay. But I've heard this is a great book all around, probably his best. And so, of course, I'd like to have best of the best. That's kind of where my collection will reveal itself. As I just take all the reviewers have given a lot of the authors high marks, and I just go and buy some stuff. This is a great collection of like Sword in the Stone, Archimedes, Merlin, Wart, all this stuff in here. Can't wait to read that if I just need some light classic reading. John Scalzi, hilarious writer. Fantastic. This was a funny book, the Red Shirts. I really like that. Can't wait to read these. I love this cover, Starter Villain. I mean, that's totally what's going on there. So yeah, here we are in my other Dan Simmons section. Dan Simmons, Hyperion, the full collection. I hate that I have odd looking. I wish they all were the same backing, the same book company, the same everything. I think I've had several publishers over the years.
Sick to my stomach. You're disgusting.
Salman Rushdie. I've read several of his Midnight's Children and a few of the other short story or smaller novellas that he's written. This is one that's highly recommended by M.L. Wong, and this one as well, but I wanted to read this. Was a standalone Japanese fantasy or Eastern fantasy. Heard a lot of good things about this, but I have yet to read it. Very large print in there. It's interesting. Martha Wells, Murderbot series. I've read all 4 of these little novellas. They're great. I'm kind of waiting to finish these up. They were really great little snack-sized things that they almost remind me of the Expanse series, but with an android as the main character instead of humans. Very fascinating stuff. Andy Weir, I've read Hail Mary Project. Loved that book, and I loved all of his writing, really. I have yet, the Artemis is the only thing I haven't read of his. Chuck Wendig, Wanderers and Wayward. I really like that. It's like a virus comes and there's some AI tech mixed in with just the end of world, all while it's happening and going down. And you just kind of discover that these main characters are being pulled through something that they finally discover how it ends, of course, but it's this long trek of just self-discovery, watching humanity crumble before your very eyes. It's very good stuff. I like it. And this is the follow-up that kind of talks about what happens during the aftermath of Wanderers. So I really like these couple books. And so I guess this is a horror book by him as well. Black River Orchard, which I think I may even enjoy that. I really enjoyed Chuck Wendig's style. And then Musashi by Eiji. Oh God, I'm gonna murder this.
Oh my God.
Eiji Yoshikawa. I read Shogun and the whole Asian saga, and this is kind of where I believe that information, some of that historical accuracy, or at least the stories, this is, I believe, where it originated. It's a very, very, there's a large, it doesn't look that meaty, but it's like 1,200 pages.
Oh my God!
And really, really small print. So I'm going to have to maybe read a few books in between that one. Take a break, maybe. And then finally here, Life After Life, Kate Atkinson. I have yet to get into her, but I've heard good things about those. And Octavia E. Butler, the author of Parable of the Sower. And that it's just good quality writing, perspective, eye-opening, and that's kind of what I'm going for when I read books, is like, what is it like being you? And then you can read other perspectives. This book opened perspective up immensely. It just, somehow the words, the telling, the stories, the feelings, the way that authors are able to tell their characters in such a way that they really open up their humanity and their perspective and what it's like to be someone from somewhere else. It teaches people, well, hopefully the reader, what empathy is like telling and hearing all these stories with all these characters within the pages of these books. They all have something that is added to my life. There are people in there that I've never met, but I certainly try to understand. And the best authors find a way to make their characters consistent so they do feel like real people who have very real stories. Learning, no matter what you read, can teach you a lot, even if it's fantasy or sci-fi, or especially history. I mean, we're supposed to learn from history, right?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
That's kind of why I get into that. I enjoy these types of stories because they are made up. They're another world. They're outside of reality. They're based in sort of real concepts and things, but they're ideas. They're new. They're new worlds, new like magic. There's science and technology that hasn't been created yet. But some of the authors from the 40s now have technology that's very real today. Our cell phones. Take a look at those.
There's no cell phone service.
Anyway, with that being said, I'm going to conclude this video with a thank you all for watching. The ones who have been taking time to watch it and view it and even comment. I love that stuff. It makes it a little more interactive and more fun. More of a social community. So, and that's what books can really bring to our lives. So I appreciate everything that you guys do, and taking your time out of your day to watch these, or at least to listen to them. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and remember, keep reading.